I'm really excited to talk today about regenerative finance, what it means, how it works, how we at RSF Social Finance are working with regenerative finance. And to kick it off, let me talk a little bit about what it is. So what is regenerative finance, and how is it set apart from other things that you might hear about in the world of finance and business and economics? So it's actually very simple. Simply put, regenerative finance is a way of putting money to work so that it's a tool and not a goal. Yeah, simple as that. Money as a tool and not money as a goal. And what that means is that money can be put to work so that it can work towards healing, towards systems change, and can actually have a positive impact on the planet and on communities. The goal then is to to build shared value rather than only shareholder value. And I can go a little bit more into that. A lot has been said and written about this in past months. And as you said, Lori, in the beginning, in the introduction, as I wrote in my article, in regenerative finance, accumulation is being replaced by circulation. So the idea that money can circulate in the economy to serve whatever it is that we want to serve. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that making money is bad, or that, investors, business people, anybody out there should not be making any money. The question is, what is the order in which we put our goals? So is making money a result of doing the right things right, or is it the end goal? And regenerative finance aims to put money to work so that it can have a positive impact on the world. Let me give another example. So the word regenerative is being used a lot in agriculture, right? So regenerative agriculture, a lot of people are talking about it, a lot is being written about it. And I find it to be a really interesting parallel also to finance. So in agriculture, we have conventional agriculture that, puts all kinds of interesting toxins in our food and in the soil and in the air. There's organic agriculture that says none of the bad stuff, right? Let's leave it out. And then there's regenerative agriculture that actually looks to contribute, to have a positive impact, to not only be neutral, net zero, but to be net positive. And the same can be said for finance. So conventional finance, I would argue, is a way of using money that really doesn't care about the externalities, and that's only focused on yield, and that's only focused on maximizing the return for the shareholder. What's broadly being called ESG, or impact investing, and words that have been adopted pretty much by any financial institution, any bank, any investor at this point, I would equate to the organic grocery that you will buy at Kroger or Walmart or Costco. It doesn't have much of the bad stuff, but does it really contribute to making the planet and making human beings healthier? Is it a net positive? I don't believe it is. So regenerative finance, just like regenerative agriculture, looks to add, to leave the world a better place, to have a net positive effect rather than just being neutral and having none of the bad stuff. So how does it work? Again, that's not very complicated. And there's oftentimes I get a question, so is regenerative finance really are you basically saying that all finance should be philanthropic? Is it all about concessionary returns? And the answer is no, that is not the case. So when we talk about regenerative finance at RSF Social Finance, it's about employing a mix of blended types of capital. So it's about providing loans, equity investment. Yes, there's also equity, but there's also social as well as network and human capital. We call that integrated capital as an approach that, as I said, employs different types of capital to really support the enterprise, the company, the not-for-profit in realizing their impact goals and realizing their change goals. Very different from conventional capital, the capital that's being employed by regenerative finance or through integrated capital is looking to support the change maker. That's the agenda. It's following the mission of the organization that's looking to make a social or an environmental impact. And so zooming in a little bit on how we do that at RSF Social Finance. So as a pioneer in this field, our organization has been doing this for coming up 4 decades. We're time and time again looking for new ways of working with money and with capital. And one of the ways that we do this is in building a community of investors, of borrowers that as a community gets together to talk about the interest rate, for instance, the way that we set pricing, the way that we set the interest rate that's being paid by borrowers or that investors receive, and have a community weigh in on that question. That is a way to not only kind of, pay or not only say that you're involving stakeholders, but actually inviting them into the house and having a conversation about the interdependencies in a financial system, even in a micro way, to have conversations about things like pricing and to make the relationships in the financial system visible, so that it's not anonymous, so that it's not opaque, but that it becomes visible and tangible, and so that the interdependencies in the system can actually can actually drive the decision making within that system. I mentioned integrated capital, so that's a way to put various forms of capital to work so that they can regenerate planet and society. Yeah, one of the questions, Lori, that you had was, why did you write the article? And really the reason that I wrote the article is there's no lack of challenges out there. I mean, the fact that we are all on Zoom, yes, it's wonderful that it's possible, but we're clearly at the end of year 2 of a worldwide pandemic and all the challenges that brought with it. There's the climate emergency that has arrived at everybody's doorstep. There's an increasing inequality. We are finding ourselves, in the last few days in a space where the public markets are tumbling. What is that going to mean? Politically, globally, we're seeing that not only are we not getting anything done, but we're getting so polarized that it's hard to deny that our political system is approaching bankruptcy. So there's no lack of need to innovate, to do things differently. And I found it just really important to share this with the community, to share not only the ideas, but also the practices of how to practice regenerative finance. The second reason is, you all might say, well, Jasper, this sounds like a really romantic idea, but is it practical? And it is, it's really practical. This can be done. And I wanted to share the not only the principles, but also the practices of how to do this, and that it can be done, that it's not a romantic idea, that it doesn't only require philanthropic capital, but it can really be done. And finally, I want other people to join this effort. So I also want to extend an invitation to all of you to join this movement of regenerative finance and to put money to work so that it can provide healing, so that it can support change.